Okay, man, we've got some unfortunate breaking news that Klay Thompson, the Golden State Warriors shooting guard, listen, one of the greatest shooters and one of the best two-way players in the game, is going to miss the entire 2020-21 season. Now, the reports are that he significantly damaged his right Achilles. Now, this is coming off of him missing the entire 2019-2020 season after he ruptured his left ACL injury in the 2019 finals. So it's unfortunate, man, because I was so looking forward to seeing Klay Thompson as well as Steph Curry, the Splash Brothers, back on the court for Golden State, draining threes from as soon as they cross half court. I mean, we've seen Klay Thompson be an absolute flamethrower, and as soon as he steps over half court, he's just a triple threat that someone you gotta cover. Unfortunately, we're not gonna get to see that. Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors are gonna have to move on in this season without their sharpshooter, and I'm gonna tell you, man, that's gonna be tough. The Western Conference, you gotta remember, the Western Conference is as deep as it's been in a long time. Like, think about this. You got a legitimate 11 to 12 teams that are gonna be vying for those 8 playoff spots. It's not a given that the Golden State Warriors are a lock for the playoffs. Now, will they make the playoffs? Well, we're gonna get into that in today's video. Not only will we be discussing how the Warriors will be able to rebound and how they'll look moving forward in this season without Klay Thompson, but I'm also going to touch on some of my free agency predictions, because guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Today, right now at 6 p.m., it starts. NBA free agency has begun. So I'm gonna give you my predictions on what some of the biggest and some of the most notable names are going to land. So make sure that you stick around to the end of this video, because you do not want to miss that. Man, let's go ahead and get into it.
Are you ready?
Welcome back to Journey of a Ballaholic, the best talk show for basketball addicts. I'm your host, General Hannibal X. Now, if you're new on this channel here, you're going to be getting my passionate and in-depth analysis on the hottest NBA and college basketball topics. Listen, I'm a ballaholic. I'm absolutely addicted to basketball. And just like everybody, I got my own opinions. But if you like opinions that are backed by facts, go ahead and hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, but also be sure that you hit that bell notification and turn on all notifications so that you'll be able to be updated whenever I drop new videos, which is every Monday and Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, let's go ahead and dive right into this video, because, like I said, we've got some unfortunate news with Klay Thompson, but the news doesn't stop there. Even though Klay Thompson's going to be out for the entire season, the Golden State Warriors rebounded very strongly. They went ahead and made a move to trade with the OKC Thunder, who Sam Presti right now is like the hoarder of all draft picks, and they gave up a first-round draft pick. It's a protected first-round draft pick, but they got, in exchange, Kelly Oubre. Now, a lot of people may not really know who he is. I love Kelly Oubre. I love his tenacity. I love his versatility. I think he's a legitimate pickup for the Golden State Warriors. Now, granted, he's not Klay Thompson. He's not going to come close to being able to be the offensive output that Klay Thompson gives you, or the efficiency that Klay Thompson gives you. But to being able to get such a quick turnaround to replace Klay Thompson, you got to give the Golden State Warriors and Joe Lacob a lot of credit for making this move and getting this job done. The Golden State Warriors starting lineup is pretty much set right now. When you think about Steph Curry in that backcourt, you've got on that wing Andrew Wiggins and now Kelly Oubre. Young guys who still need to be shaped and molded into how to play winning championship style basketball. With Steve Kerr and Steph Curry, I think their leadership will definitely be able to rub off on these guys. And these guys right here, we're going to potentially see the best version of these guys in this upcoming season. So having them on that wing, their versatility, their defensive potential, we got to realize that potential, but the potential is there. Then, of course, you got Draymond Green, and as we all saw, number 2 in the draft, James Wiseman went to the Golden State Warriors, and I absolutely love that pick. What he brings as far as rim protection, elite shot blocking, elite rebounding, as well as a lob threat. You're going to see a lot of pick and rolls between Steph Curry and James Wiseman that's going to open up shots for the Andrew Wiggins, the Draymond Greens, and the Kelly Oubres on the perimeter. We're going to have to see, can those guys knock those shots down? So I love the move that the Warriors made, but I don't think they're going to stop there. So one of the things I wanted to do was to kind of discuss some of the notable free agency guys that are out there and some of my predictions. Listen, free agency begins right now. So this is going to start seeing names fall off the board. So I think the name that the Golden State Warriors are probably going to focus on trying to shore up that perimeter. Now, granted, you've got Steph Curry out there, and you just brought in Kelly Oubre, and you have Andrew Wiggins, but depth is always going to be needed. And I think a guy that they could look for, and my prediction, the guy they're going to probably wind up signing with the cap space that they have, is Wesley Matthews. I think he makes a lot of sense for a guy who can come off your bench and can be a 3-and-D guy, a guy that kind of takes some pressure off of Kelly Oubre to have to be as consistent all the time, or even an Andrew Wiggins if he goes through some slumps, as we've seen he's done with a real inconsistent start to his career. So having a guy like Wesley Matthews who's a veteran that can kind of come in and be that guy to come off the bench, I like that move, because right now they got a lot of young guys on the bench, and if the Golden State Warriors are going to try to stay in the middle of that pack, they're going to need some veteran presence coming off that bench. Now, some other guys that I definitely think, as far as free agent signings, one of the guys that I love, who to me was the third best player on the LA Lakers team in the NBA Finals as well as during the playoff run, was Playoff Rondo, man. Playoff Rondo, and my prediction for Playoff Rondo, unfortunately, won't be joining my Lakers again. I think his time is now up now that the Lakers made that magnificent trade to go get Dennis Schroeder from the OKC Thunder for Danny Green, as well as for the 28th draft pick in the 2020 draft. So with that being said, my prediction for Rajon Rondo is to land with the Atlanta Hawks, to be a mentor, to be a backup point guard for Trae Young, but also have that ability to play on or off the ball. Trae Young is a point guard that we have seen. He can be catch and shoot. He can create for himself. Rondo can set him up to give him easy, efficient shots. So I like that combination. And of course, hey, it's about that money, man. I think Rondo's going to get that bag in Atlanta. Now, moving on to the next one. The Lakers, I do think, are going to get a new face. I think most of the free agent signings you're going to see the Lakers do is going to be bringing their roster back. Guys like a Dwight Howard, guys like a Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. They'll bring a lot of those guys back. But a new face I think we're going to see in LA, I think it's Carmelo Anthony, man. I'm going out on a limb and saying that the Lakers are finally going to be able to put at least half of the banana boat together, where Carmelo Anthony will finish out his career in a Lakers uniform trying to win his first NBA championship. And I think LeBron James is going to be able to give him the best shot of being able to do that. So I got Carmelo going to the Lakers. Now, moving on to the next one, I think this is a big name because the Milwaukee Bucks had this man in hand. That was Bogdan Bogdanović from the Sacramento Kings. And unfortunately, somehow, some way, the Sacramento Kings and the Milwaukee Bucks, who were trying to make a sign and trade, forgot to inform Bogdan Bogdanović that he was going to Milwaukee. So somebody dropped the ball there, but at the end of the day, Bogdan refused to move forward with that deal. Now the Bucks have decided they're going to move forward without him. And now Bogdan is on the free agency market. So where is he going to end up? I think the Charlotte Hornets, man. I think the Charlotte Hornets are going to land a big name star, not star, but a young player who's pretty much going to be a interchangeable piece, being a playmaker, being a spot-up shooter, being somebody who can create for himself and or for others as a secondary playmaker. But you got to remember, they just drafted number 3 in the draft, LaMelo Ball. A guy who's 6'7", who can pretty much do it all on the offensive end, and I love that signing. So whether that be a Terry Rozier or being on the move, whether that mean a Devontae Graham coming off the bench as a 6-man, they'll figure out how they want to run that rotation. But I like the idea of bringing in Bogdan Bogdanović to be on that perimeter with a young guy like LaMelo Ball. Now, the next name is a big name, and it hurts me to say this, but I think Fred VanFleet has seen probably his last days in Toronto. Now, it's actually some breaking news too. They won't be playing in Toronto. Toronto, Canada has banned the NBA and the Toronto Raptors from playing in Canada. So the Toronto Raptors for the 2020-21 season is actually going to be the Tampa Bay Raptors, as they'll be playing in Tampa Bay, Florida. So kind of interesting twist, but I think they're going to lose a big piece of their team. I think they're going to lose a couple big pieces of the team, to be honest with you. But I think the biggest piece is going to be Fred VanFleet. And I think that Fred VanFleet is going to find himself with a big payday with the New York Knickerbockers. Listen, man, New York to me had the steal of the draft. Getting Obi Toppin to fall to them at number 8. To me, I thought he was the 4th best player in this draft. To get him to fall, a New York guy who wants to be there. They just shipped out all those power forwards where Bobby Portis is gone. They got rid of Taj Gibson. So now, Obi Toppin, I think, is going to be on that forward spot. But also, I think they're going to bring in Fred VanFleet, man, to run that ship as that point guard along with RJ Barrett. You got Mitchell Robinson, you got Kevin Knox. I like this New York team as far as how they're trying to slowly piece this thing together. So I got to give them some credit for making that move. That's my prediction, that Fred VanFleet will be going to the New York Knicks. Now, another Toronto Raptor, that I think's going to no longer be a Toronto Raptor, that's Serge Ibaka, man. I think Serge has played his last game with the Toronto Raptors. And my prediction, I got the big man going to the Houston Rockets. We've seen them play their last bit of small ball. But I think Serge is a good transition from small ball to more of a somewhat traditional lineup, being the Serge is a legitimate 3 and D big man. He's not as good of a rim protector as he used to be, but he can still hold the paint down somewhat, and he has that ability to be a legitimate three-point shooter to stretch that defense and spread it out for whether that's James Harden and Russell Westbrook or whomever they're going to be. Because right now, we don't know what's going on in Houston. We know that neither one of those two stars want to be there, but right now they're there, and the ownership is not, they don't seem like they're willing to just buzz just to give up anything or to receive anything for their mega stars. So we got to see how that's going to play out, but my prediction is that Serge Ibaka will land with the Houston Rockets. Now, let's move on to the next big name, which is a guy who he's kind of had a really up and down career. You know, you kind of feel bad for him. I think that's Gordon Hayward. You know, with all the injuries that he's dealt with. But Gordon Hayward, to me, I think my prediction is that he will no longer be in Boston. As we saw, he declined his player option with them. I think he's moving on. And I think a good fit for him would be to join Rajon Rondo to bring some experience to this young Atlanta Hawks team. Atlanta's got a lot of money. I think they're going to throw a lot of money at Hayward as well as Rondo. And I love adding some experience, adding some versatility to that perimeter, and I think the Gordon Hayward will land with the Hawks. Now, moving on to the next one is that if Boston's going to lose Gordon Hayward, well, who are they going to replace him with? I think a great addition to the guy that I'm predicting is going to be Paul Millsap. I think Paul Millsap's days in Denver are over, and I think Paul Millsap will be a legitimate power forward to put in with this Boston Celtics team to give them more size and up front, because right now, playing 3 forwards, or basically 3 wings and a point guard, I don't think that's going to get it done. Boston's got to get bigger, right? And I think a good way to start that, to transition to that, is going from Gordon Hayward at that 4th spot to going to Paul Millsap. So I like that addition there. That would be my prediction for Paul Millsap going to the Boston Celtics. Now, coming up next, we've got Christian Wood. Christian Wood is a hot name out there. And I'm going to be honest with you, I love his talent. I just don't think that this market in this year's offseason is perfect for him. I think that a lot of teams that have the money are not necessarily going to be going for him, and the teams that really want him don't really have the money. So I expect to see him re-signing back with the Detroit Pistons. I think that's a good fit for him. I think he's a young guy who has a lot of potential. So my prediction is that Christian Wood will stay with the Detroit Pistons. Now, moving up next, we got Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant, I don't think is going to be going back to the Denver Nuggets. My prediction is that Jeremy Grant will land with the young, up-and-coming Phoenix Suns. I think that they have a good position to plug him in at that power forward spot. Remember, they just traded for Chris Paul. They got Chris Paul, they've got Devin Booker, they got DeAndre Ayton at the front, the center spot. So you're looking at that forward spot, and you've got, whether it's a Cam Johnson, whether it's a Bridges, you've got one of those guys. One of them, I think, could be a 6-man, and you can put Jeremy Grant at that power forward. I love that addition. That's my prediction, Jeremy Grant going to the Phoenix Suns. Now, with Jeremy Grant leaving Denver, I think the guy that's going to replace him will probably be Clippers' JaMychal Green. He has that ability to be a kind of like a 3 and D big man, like as a stretch 4. I think he would be a good guy to be able to come, whether they decide they want to start him at that Paul Millsap spot, or if they're going to play Michael Porter there and bring JaMychal Green off the bench. I think he would be a good backup to a young guy like a Michael Porter Jr. So I'm expecting JaMychal Green to land with the Denver Nuggets. Now, that would leave a big name, somewhat big name, and that's Danilo Gallinari. I think he's going to the Miami Heat. I think the Miami Heat are going to find a way to be able to preserve enough cap space to keep their options open for 2021, just in case some type of freak is available, right? But I think Danilo Gallinari would be a good addition for them, to be able to come on that front line. So that's my prediction, that Danilo Gallinari and all of his versatility will land with the Miami Heat. Now, my last prediction is that the Miami Heat will lose Derrick Jones Jr., the slam dunk champion, and I think he's going to wind up going over there to be a lob threat in Dallas for Luka Doncic. So I love that addition that I think is going to be Derrick Jones Jr. going to the Dallas Mavericks and joining Luka and Kristaps Porzingis. So listen, this is my 2020 NBA free agency prediction. Obviously, it's not everybody. I can't do a list of every player that's going to be in there, but those are just some of the notable names. You've got guys I think will be re-signing with their teams. I think a lot of guys are going to do that. Guys like, for instance, like even with the Lakers, have Avery Bradley, guys like Dwight Howard, KCP. I think a lot of these guys are who have opted out of their deals. I think they'll probably re-sign with their teams, but they'll just do it on longer deals. You can kind of get more guaranteed money, more years on their contracts. So that's just my prediction. You can go and let me know in the comment section below what you think. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do so. If you've missed any of my previous videos, you can click the box right here. Also, make sure that you go ahead and sign up for my members only section. We did a live Q&A session just yesterday. I had a lot of fun doing that. Also, I got a cooking show. It's called Cooking with the General, where I'm prepping, I'm cooking, I'm talking all things basketball. So you do not want to miss that, especially with the holidays coming up. I got some good recipes for you coming up as well. So go ahead, make sure you sign up for that. Just hit that join now button, subscribe to the channel. And listen, until next time, make sure that y'all be safe out there in the streets. And remember, we still demand justice for Breonna Taylor and Jacob Blake. Peace.